From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, February the 14th, 2019. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met on the sidelines of the Warsaw Conference on Middle East Peace and Security today and spoke to the press about the common threat from Iran.
An Israeli Prime Minister and the foreign ministers of the leading Arab countries stood together and spoke with unusual force, clarity, and unity against the common threat of the Iranian regime.
You can't achieve peace and stability in the Middle East without confronting Iran. It's just not possible. They're a malign influence in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Syria, in Iraq. The three H's, the Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah. These are real threats. There are others as well, but you can't get peace in the Middle East without pushing back against Iran.
U.S. Vice President Mike Pence addressed the conference, lauding the presence of many ministers from the Arab world breaking bread with an Israeli leader.
I believe we are beginning a new era. With Prime Minister Netanyahu from the State of Israel, with leaders from Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, all breaking bread together, and later in this conference sharing honest perspectives on the challenges facing the region.
Pence today, together with Netanyahu, as well as with Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki and members of the U.S. peace team, also took part in a wreath-laying ceremony at the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising Memorial. The Vice President and the Israeli Prime Minister then held talks with the U.S. peace team, including with Special Envoy Jason Greenblatt and White House Special Advisor Jared Kushner at the Museum of the History of Polish Jews.
In this very special place on this sacred ground, to hear a prayer sung, to remember the heroes of the Warsaw Ghetto, to be able to share this moment with you and with members of the Jewish community here in Poland is deeply meaningful. And it reminds us of the strength of the bond between our two people that is unbreakable. And meeting with you today, speaking of common concerns in the region and in the world, it's my great honor to reaffirm that alliance and that commitment and our gratitude to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Vice President.
The Associated Press reported that earlier at the conference today, Kushner, in a closed-door session, announced that the long-awaited U.S. peace plan will be presented after the Israeli elections, which take place on April the 9th. Reportedly also saying that both Israel and the Palestinians will have to compromise under the plan, and both should keep an open mind. Netanyahu was cited saying in response that he looked forward to receiving and seeing the plan. Netanyahu said, "I have to say that I know the Trump administration seeks to ensure the security of Israel for generations, even though I always say that Israel must always be able to defend itself by itself. It is comforting to know that we have such a strong ally in the U.S." The Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations is readying for their 45th leadership mission to Israel, which begins this Sunday. Over 100 leaders from the conference's 53 member organizations and its National Leadership Council will take part, led by conference chairman Arthur Stark and CEO Malcolm Hoenlein. Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Reuven Rivlin will address the group, who will also meet with other top leaders and top thinkers to hear up-to-date information on Israel's challenges and concerns. The conference writes that the mission takes place at a particularly critical time in the lead-up to Israel's national elections and as major shifts in the region are in the offing. Anti-Semitism in all its forms is on the rise in the U.S. and Europe, and relations between Israel and the diaspora Jewry face new challenges. Well, a ceremony in honor of Black History Month was held last night at the JNF, Jewish National Fund House in New York City. with the presentation of the annual MLK Award by the JNF, the Jewish Community Relations Council, the UJA Federation of New York, and the Consul General of Israel to New York State Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins. Consul General Danny Dayan called Stewart Cousins an important friend to the Jewish community and said, "I believe that now more than ever we must commit ourselves towards strengthening the everlasting bonds between the African American and Jewish communities in our shared battle against hate." Cousins, in receiving the award, cited Dr. King's message that only light can drive out darkness and only love can drive out hate. She said that lesson continues to hold meaning today as we see the reemergence of racism, anti-Semitism, and bigotry from the shadows. That is why she said we must work together and stand united as communities and as governments to build deeper bonds of love, friendship, and prosperity that help uplift those in need. Jewish actress Mayim Bialik recently returned from what she called a pilgrimage to Pittsburgh to show support for the Jewish community there after the Tree of Life shooting last October. Bialik said she reached out the day after the shooting to the Jewish Federation of Greater Pittsburgh to ask how she could help. And this past weekend, the Big Bang Theory star spoke and met with young adult leaders of the Federation, student leaders at area college Hillels, and with leaders of the local Jewish Community Center. She also visited the police and fire station where the first responders to the deadly shooting work, and went to see the Tree of Life building and met with its Rabbi Jeffrey Myers. Bialik, who is a distant relative of the renowned Jewish poet Chaim Nachman Bialik, shared her experience on her website, writing, "Thank you, Pittsburgh, for your strength in each other." Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, February the 14th. At 7 o'clock, it's Talmud Study. At 7:40, The Jewish Lens. At 8:20, Episode 1 of the award-winning Israeli miniseries, A Touch Away. That's in Hebrew with English subtitles. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Dr. Aaron Ben-Zeev to talk about the psychology of love. At 10, author Lucinda Frank speaks about her book Timeless, Love, Morgenthau, and Me. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, it's ILTV's The Jewish World. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, February the 14th, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader.